Right then, reports have emerged today that Manchester United have, and I mean, looking by the weight of how many reports have been leaking out, this looks like it's concrete. This looks like it's very much in process, and it looks like Manchester United have actually really started to put some work down. And it seems like, according to the reports at least, that we have interviewed Erik Ten Hag, and Ten Hag, according to Sky, has had positive talks with Manchester United. The club apparently like his vision and his philosophy. According to Chris Wheeler of Daily Mail, talks have been happening since the start of March, but now the interviews are occurring. The Mail, Sami Mokbel, have said Ajax are not going to stand in Ten Hag's way. They say the United are interested, and there's a long way to go in the process of getting a new manager. Romano saying that United are happy with the level of English. Ten Hag apparently wanted to hear about the club's budget, which we would expect, and plans for the future, and he's ready to try out management in the Premier League. All very, very, very positive, all very, very, very obvious briefings that have gone on. And I think this sort of stacks up with the stuff that we was hearing a few days ago, where people are sort of coming out and saying, oh, we're not just talking to two people, we're definitely talking to loads. I fully expect the same reports to go out about Pochettino, unless those reports that have been out the last few days saying that PSG aren't just going to let him go are true. That could just be posturing. That might be them sort of trying to get a bit of a fee out of United so they don't have to sack him and pay money for it. There could be, as far as they're concerned at least, a way that everyone wins in a way with this one. So I think there's still a lot more talk, but it seems like the interview stage with Ten Hag is done. I don't think there's going to be much more talking. There might be a little bit more negotiation, certainly on salary and this, that, and the other. I would expect there to be. But the interview stage now is done. Manchester United know what Ten Hag wants. He knows what the club want. They've met. They've discussed how it's going to go down. All that's left to do now is the decision of, is he the man Manchester United want? There is some talk that Lopetegui has also been interviewed, and Lopetegui was someone that was in the frame for the interim job, whether it would have been interim then or not, back when we appointed Ralf Rangnick. I am really leaning towards Ten Hag, and Friday or Saturday, I'm probably going to do a video where we actually go deep into the tactics of Ten Hag, what's good about them, where they can benefit Manchester United, and that sort of thing. But it looks like the actual most difficult thing to do, which is that contact with the permission of his parent club at the moment, has happened. This is a major, major step, and we haven't heard this in as much detail, maybe because it's not as big news, but I think this has also happened with Lopetegui, and I think this is either about to happen with Pochettino, or our initial sort of contact with PSG has been rebuffed, and that's why we sort of saw PSG aren't really willing to let him go. Whether that's true or not, I think that's why you saw that sort of breaking and coming out, at least. Now, what next? I guess it's now down to Richard Arnold, Murta, Darren Fletcher, and potentially Ralf Rangnick, although there was some sort of distancing himself a little bit with a leak last week about whether or not he's going to be involved in choosing the next manager. He's just here to coach apparently at the moment, but I'm not sure about that. I think he's going to be heavily involved. With there being this tagged on 2-year consultancy, I think he's going to be heavily involved in the choosing of the new manager and also in the signing of some of the players over the course of the summer. I'm excited in this. Now, according to Straight News, there's a desire from United to bring in an ex-player because they're not happy with the sort of makeup of the dressing room. And Rio's name has been thrown into the mix. I haven't heard anything direct from Rio. Straight News do say that the club are not sure on the guy's suitability for it. Here's what I do know. Rio is in communication with people from the club, the likes of Fletcher and stuff like that. And he's also in communication with a lot of the players individually, and I think also on a little bit more of a collective basis. I know that he talks to the players, not in any official capacity, just as a friend in the media or a friend that's an ex-player. The extent of those conversations, I don't know. They're obviously private conversations, but I know Rio is always available for advice, and I've seen the advice that he gives to the players that are clients of the agency that he works for. I honestly think he would make a good coach. Whether or not a head coach, I'm not sure. Obviously, you've got to have your own ideas on tactics and this, that, and the other, and he's never had the the need or the desire to demonstrate those, or for us to see what he would be like with those. But the guy's got a football brain that it's an absolute privilege doing a podcast with him. And Rio drops nuggets that I don't reckon he knows he's dropping. But for someone that's never played at a high level, I mean, I've played shit Saturday League football at the highest. For someone who's never played to the level he attained to, someone who's not been involved in training sessions day to day with the very best in the world like he has, he drops things that he thinks are run of the mill, that are nonsense, but they're absolute brilliant. And a lot of people are reluctant to have ex-players involved because Ollie didn't work out. But it didn't work out with Van Gaal, it didn't work out with Moyes, and it didn't work out with Mourinho. We're still going to appoint a manager. So why would you say, oh, just because one was an ex-player means that you can't appoint anybody? There's other people that have been kind of linked. RVP is a name, I think, not concretely linked and certainly couldn't substantiate it. But RVP is obviously working at the moment. He's at Feyenoord. Van Nistelrooy, he's obviously working with PSV at the moment. We had him on Vibe with 5 talking about his role with PSV. He wants to be a manager one day. He's learning the trade. But these are players that achieved at Manchester United. These are players that won the league at Manchester United, as is Rio, won everything at Manchester United. These are players that know what that standard is. And I think having players like that in and around the club is a positive thing. Zidane was doing that role at Real Madrid before he was given the job as a manager. And I think that made his transition into being a manager a lot more seamless. Having old legends around the club to remind people of what the expectations are could only be a positive thing. If people want to talk about standards slipping, you're not going to get Fergie back, right? But the people who wore the captain's armband under Fergie, these are the people who love and know the club. I think having them this includes Rude, this includes Robin van Persie, obviously Rio. But even, I don't think it's possible with Gary Neville because his involvement with Salford. But these are all players that know everything about what it is to be Manchester United. And when they talk, you have to listen to them. You have to. So I would like to see them listen to. As I mentioned the other day, I would rather listen to Fergie and be wrong 100 times in a row than listen to Ed Woodward once. Imagine thinking you know more than Fergie. And Fergie's made mistakes. He's made mistakes with signings. He made mistakes in putting his hat on David Moyes. But Fergie's allowed to make mistakes because of what he achieved. When them people have opinions on football, you have to listen. It's as simple as that. And when you've got players that were so good themselves, they know what makes good teams. You have to listen to them. And I think you need a tactical manager in charge. You need technical coaches. And I think Ten Hag would be and bring that. And then I do think having a connection that is Manchester United would be a positive thing. Whether that's Rio, Rude, RVP, even potentially Darren Fletcher or somebody else. I think there's a positive in there. Maybe even Wayne Rooney as an outside shout, as an assistant, if he'd be interested in that. He might see that as a step back in his career. He might think that's a positive to learn up close off someone different. He then will have seen up close all the managers that he played under at England. Sir Alex Ferguson, Mourinho, Louis, Moyes to a greater or lesser degree. And then he's got his own experiences with Derby. Wayne Rooney, on the next evolution of his career, taking over as part of Ten Hag's team. No, there's obviously nothing to substantiate this or even suggest that this is possible, but I don't think that would be the worst shout. I think having the connection to players that have achieved and have won things here should be aspirational for the players that are taken to the field now. And I think losing that connection isn't a positive. And people will say, oh, we never had this in the past, but we did. We absolutely did. That class of 92 was raised by Nobby Stiles. Erik Harrison was the head coach. Nobby Stiles was the coach that drilled them on the pitch. Brian Kidd was part of the coaching staff. He was the assistant manager under Sir Alex Ferguson for that initial part, for that transitional period, for the first Premier League win. Brian Kidd has done nothing in coaching since. He's now part of City's makeup. He played for both United and City. But Brian Kidd was someone who won the European Cup with United, as did Nobby Stiles. So why was it all right then? Is it not all right now? There's so much valuable information from players who've achieved at the top of the game. They can bring a hell of a lot. And even when you go 99 beyond, Mike Phelan has been part of the coaching staff from 1999. Why is Mike Phelan all of a sudden not worth listening to? When from 1999 to 2013, he was part of Sir Alex Ferguson's staff. And if Fergie thought he was good enough to be part of the staff and maintain standards in the background, why is he suddenly not good enough? I'd also love to see Rennie Mullenstein back in the mixer. Again, a very technical coach who knows Manchester United and knows what we're looking for on the pitch. He'd be an incredible appointment. But anyway, that's the news. Ten Hag. The main parts are now done. It seems like it's down to decision time. But I'm very excited. This feels like a real positive step forward from Manchester United. And I'm hopeful that under Richard Arnold, we're going to be run a different way than we have been for the previous decade, or near decade, under Ed Woodward. Because if we're going to be successful, things have to change in the back end, and football people have to be making football decisions. If that's the one thing that changes under Arnold, he'll do a good job. Before I go, we have got approximately 30 home and away shirts combined. It's like 18 and 14, I think, of each one. Limited sizes. Link is in the description. We've just made them 30% off. So if you want to get one of this year's shirts, there's not long left to go get them. So go get them this 30% off. And also, we'll be talking about this tomorrow on XG Files. But if you're interested in doing an internship with Stretford Paddock Football Club or on my channel, then there's a link in the description. And we've had people recently just go work for Manchester United. We've got people at Manchester City, people at ITV, BT and Sky, all from doing a little internship on my shitty little YouTube channel. But obviously we're giving good experience out in a fast-paced environment. So setting people up to go and get some really good jobs in the industry. So if you're interested in that, we're looking for graphic designers, we're looking for journalists, we're looking for social media people, video editors and camera operatives. But we're also still looking for coaches for the football team as well. We're expanding, hopefully going to have an under-18s next year. We're trying to build a women's team. So anything like that you would like to get involved with, email addresses for all that is below. Nice one. See you in a bit. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.